Good morning, aloha, wherever you are in the world. Maybe not morning for you. Taking a deep breath here because there's a transmission that is coming through and it may be controversial, but it feels important to speak this truth. And I've been feeling into how I feel about Queen Elizabeth and her death, right? Sparked by her dying yesterday at 96 years old. And it was interesting, just a few days before, I think it was late last week, I kind of had a random thought where I was like, how old is the queen? How much time does she have left? Yeah, I felt her death near. And when she died, as I do with any being, no matter the kind of life they've lived, I send their soul, their higher soul, love. And I let their higher soul know that it is safe for them to forgive themselves for anything that they need to forgive themselves for in this lifetime. And they can let go. They can go to the light. We have this little sweet light being here. So I did this, and I just spoke directly to her spirit and said, I don't know really what kind of person you were, but if there's anything that you participated in, made decisions around, did, that had a harmful impact on any human being, then I want to ask your higher self to take full ownership for that in the afterlife and do whatever you can from the other side to make it right. And I believe in that. I believe that spirits have the power to make right their wrongs that they couldn't do in their human life. And really to support like the healing of the planet. And so I made that prayer to Queen Elizabeth yesterday, and aloha everybody, and I let it go. And then just this morning I was meditating and being and contemplating. It's raining here now in Hawaii, so I hope that you can still hear. And then I remembered I'm from Australia. And I recently, like maybe 6 months ago, had my genealogy done and found out like real stories about my ancestors who were convicts. And there was always kind of this joke with Australians, or, people who weren't Australian and they found out you were Australian. They're like, ha, you're from convicts. Like it was funny, like, because I came from criminals that, I don't know, it was tainted in some way, right? And when I found out these stories of my great grandmothers and grandfathers who came from England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland, when they came on the first fleet and the rest of the fleets, the ships from England to Australia, they were like 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. They were poor people, either on the streets or just, struggling to take care of their families. And for instance, I think it was my sixth great grandfather stole like a loaf of bread, and they were kids, and he was sent on a ship for stealing a loaf of bread, probably because he was fucking hungry. Because why? Because there's been such a history of dividing and hoarding wealth with the royal family, with the 1%, and leaving everybody else to survive. Exactly. Just to survive. And so he was sent, and my great 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 grandmother as well also sent on a ship for like 256 days. It took the ship to get from England to Australia. Most people didn't survive that trip. Like they weren't this wasn't like first class, on the Titanic. This was like slaves. And so then they get to Australia, if they survived, which my great 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 grandparents did, and they were sentenced to 7 years slave labor to build the New England, Australia. Meanwhile, all of those aristocrats, which were appointed by, at that time, I think it was George, what's his name, who is the king, King George II, I think, appointed by the royal family, who is in power, to kill, slaughter, rape, pillage, horrible fucking atrocities to the Aboriginal people, the Indigenous people of Australia. And I just remembered this morning. I was like, oh, I mean, okay, yeah, Queen Elizabeth wasn't the one at that time that was sitting on the throne, and yet then she took the throne. And do you know that she never in her lifetime acknowledged these atrocities? So I continue to send her soul love. I continue to call upon her higher self to make right the atrocities left by her and the royal family. And I'm not going to pretend what didn't happen. And that's real. I found some more information just as reminders. There's a photo here where the Queen of England is shaking the hand of, I think it's Hitler. I mean, he's a Nazi for sure, and I think it's Hitler. The Queen of Elizabeth, was Britain's longest reigning monarch, and she never acknowledged her country's brutal legacy. Queen Elizabeth has never publicly acknowledged or apologized or compensated any of the victims of her royal family's actions. To name a few: plundering India via the East India Company, causing the Bengal famine that led to deaths of millions, building concentration camps in Kenya, suppressing the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya, committing genocide against the Aboriginal peoples of Australia and all these other countries where they're the Indigenous people. The royal family has never acknowledged the British monarchy's slave trade, despite directly contributing, supporting, and profiting from the transatlantic slave trade. Queen Elizabeth II has never apologized for the colonial legacy of looting from the global south, not even with the plunder of the jewels stuck on her crown, stolen from Africa and India. Phew. Yeah, really. So I just want to take a breath with this. The history of colonialism, of racism, the gaslighting. And what I want to bring this back to is that these outdated systems of kind of a lineage that is passing on the power and hoarding the power and literally oppressing others, it never worked, and it is no longer okay. Like, we, the people, are no longer okay with standing for this. And the call is to rise into our own sovereignty, to take up our own mantelpiece, to wear our own crown, a crown that is connected to our higher selves and our heart, our humanity, our compassion, our love, our self dignity, our respect of others. And to sit on that throne, not because we are better than somebody else or can use our power over another, but because we sit in the throne of our own sovereign center, our heart, our soul. And that we all do this. We all have our throne, we all have our crown made of light. And we stand in that loving and fierce power that is aligned with integrity, with goodness, with kindness. And we make decisions and we rise up and we use our voice. And we remember who we really are. We remember that we are the ones that we have been waiting for. And then when we, as a collective of human beings that may have felt like we have not had power, that may be still rubbing up against some of these old systems that have been put in place to keep us quiet, to keep us suppressed, to keep us forgetting our power. When we remember and we rise up together and we raise our collective consciousness and we stand in that power, like, you literally have no power over me. And even like the witches were burned, the medicine women were burned at the stake, and yet they are eternal. We are those women. We are those men. We are those non binary people. We are the ones that we have been waiting for, and we are eternal, even if they try to hurt us and take our lives. We stand like Joan of Arc, fierce in our love. And like, it's scary to our ego. It's scary to our sense of survival, But when we connect, when we remember and we cultivate a practice of being connected to our higher self, to our sovereignty, to the queen in our heart, the king in our heart, our soul that sits on the throne room of our heart, when we embody this and we cultivate this, we remember and we are not afraid anymore. And even when our palms are sweaty and there's a lump in our throat, we stand anyway. And we hold this frequency together of collective consciousness, of love, of truth, of beauty, of integrity. And that is the call. And this isn't just some like hippy dippy new age, like lovey dovey vision that I'm sharing here. This has been prophesized through many, many lineages. Like, this is the true Christ consciousness. We're not, like, Jesus isn't coming back as like one dude. That's not the return of Christ. The return of Christ is as a collective remembering who we are. That I am the queen of my queendom. And the citizens of my glorious queendom are happy, abundant, and free. And the citizens of my glorious queendom are my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs, my actions, my choices. This is my domain. I don't have dominion over anybody else or over the earth. I am here as a steward. My responsibility as a human being is to be a steward, to take care of, not to dominate. So I take care of my realm. And you are your queen of your queendom, or your king of your kingdom, or your like non-binary unity consciousness of your royal being that you are. And together we rise. And this again like has been prophesized through the new age movements, like the rainbow, the indigo children, the star seeds, the ones that are being born on earth that remember their past lifetimes, that remember that they are here for a bigger calling, that they are here to embody love and raise the frequency of humanity, to remember that for themselves, that we can return to the Garden of Eden. It's also been prophesized, yes, through the Bible, and then it was kind of distorted. It was prophesized through the white buffalo woman prophecies in the Sioux tribes in Native American lineages. It was prophesized in the Mayan lineages. So this is the call. Are you willing to awaken to the power that lives inside of you, that lives inside of your heart? Not the power to dominate, but the power to love, the power to stand for peace, the one to speak the truth, and call for accountability and call for integrity in others, and yet just stand for peace and love. Just be it. Just hold that frequency. Radiate it out from your heart. Pray. Cultivate this inner state, because you are the queen of your queendom. And that lives right here, the seat of your soul, your throne room of your heart, directly connected to your higher self. And you bring your higher self down and root it into the earth, radiate it out to humanity. We do not need a monarch. We do not need a royal family. We do not need presidents and prime ministers and a 1% hoarding wealth and controlling a narrative of fear. We, the people, have the power to raise the collective consciousness, to wear our crown of light with dignity and love. So I invite you into that practice every day. And if you would like support on that practice, please reach out and be happy to explore how that looks to support you. And I do have a free class happening on Tuesday at 12 p.m., 12 noon on Tuesday the 13th. It's a free masterclass. I would love to have you there. We're going to go into some deep, yummy stuff, which is, practices and transmissions to reconnect to your higher self. And I would love to have you. So the link to join that is in my bio. And if you need to send me a DM because you can't find it, that's fine. Do that and I'll send it to you. But really what I wanted to come on here today and say is remember who you truly are. And if we do this together, we truly can change the course of humanity through our global collective consciousness rising, our reclamation of our sovereignty, our power, our divinity. And just continuing to, I believe this is one of the greatest things that we can do as we open our heart back up to the infinite love that is truly available to us and that we truly are, letting that pour through us. And even if you're mad at the queen for the things that I reminded you that she has been a part of, the atrocities, send her love, send her soul love. Let her know she can be at peace, and also call on her higher self to make it right from the other side. We have that power. Sending you so much love. Be well. Feel free to share what arises for you listening to this if you're watching the replay. See you soon. Hope to see you at my masterclass on Tuesday. Long live the sovereign within us all.